disputing that. What I'm saying is that if you're in a position where you can give a young man advice, mentoring doesn't necessarily mean you give up your life to somebody else. It doesn't mean that. I'm just saying it's just some simple sort of kindness. If I'm looking at it, it's just a simple thing of kindness. Yeah. We don't need this whole concept of, for somebody who's saying that it's all news and it's the thing. I'm aware of what the society does unto us. We've created a society that does unto us. That's what we've already done. We've created a society that does unto us. But
we haven't created that. We've been implanted here.
I think as human beings, I think we have in many ways. Anyway,
okay, we need to come to a kind of close.
Super quickly, mentoring and all that has been done. I've been doing it for years. You have to also be careful as someone who's been mentoring outreach with young people. You interact with the wrong young person, you can cost you your lives. I have done work with the council. I've gone into a young person's house, part of gang member. Whilst I'm inside the house with the young person, I've got a group of young people outside the door trying to block the door down and trying to come in, and he's coming with a knife. So it's not a matter of anyone can just turn up. You've got to be careful. Before I got into youth work and all that, I was just going about my business. One young person was on the floor being kicked in and threatened with a knife by two other young persons. And the young person that had the knife, he had his school uniform on. He wasn't in a gang. I took a chance to interact. And the young person looked at me and said, if he wasn't here, I was going to stab him up. I took a chance. That was my life I got linked. So you got to be careful as well. Young people are a bit different these days. So him interacting with his youth that he knows, the youth and the whole thing, the young people that saw you on the street, different young people. The ones who are running feral, as they named them, when they had the Tottenham riots, right? There's those young people, you got to be careful.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying to you is that it's all about knowing the people. For example, knowing your neighbours.
Thank you.
That's all I'm saying.
Nobody knows their neighbours anymore.
Because of some of the trauma that young person may have experienced with the gangs outside the door trying to go in, all of that trauma and where that comes from and the roots of that, in a way, cannot, in my opinion, cannot be ignored and just move on. We can't. It's got to be dealt with. And I think it's part of the bigger picture of how we ended up in the situation that we're in.
Can I say something?
And I'm just drawing in what you were saying earlier about, I respect it, I acknowledge it, but partly let's move down, put that under the carpet and start afresh. Those people who are caught up in this trauma, I don't think they can or are able or even willing to just move on and forget bygones. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm just bringing up that kind of statement that you said.
I can answer that question. Sorry, Lloyd. For example, children that are born, nobody's born like with racism. No child is born whether you're black or white. Yes. Agreed. Now, what I'm trying to say is an example where you get a 6-year-old child, make up the school's white. All of a sudden, he may say call a person of colour, black kid, the N-word or whatever. And where does that come from? That you'd think, oh no man, it's got to come from mainly indoors, because the child wouldn't know that. So what I'm trying to say is that person there indoors is still angry against black people, so he's promoting his anger, and his child is in that environment, it's affecting that child. So that child will then grow up kind of feeling what his dad or his mum's being and projecting.
He's got a choice.
To a degree, projecting it. So what I'm trying to say is, and not again about this right at the very beginning, is if you said about your son, and I was there when your son was speaking, exactly, he doesn't see, his ideal of racism, for example, is different from how it is not from our generation and generations before that. But if we continue to be angry, which I think some of us are, because of what's done, rightly so, that will have an effect on the younger generation, and then they're going to have an effect on the younger generation. So where's it going to stop? That's all I'm saying. If anybody makes sense, what I just said.
It makes sense, but then in America you get parents having to teach the young black children how to not get stopped. Sorry, Lloyd. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I
Lloyd.
yeah, sorry, Lloyd. Go on, sorry.
I know how I feel.
Just going back to Michael's point, really, and just endorsing some of the stuff that Shaka said. For some of you who don't know, I used to work for a project many back, I think 1998, 2000, It was called the Boys to Men Project, and I was one of the project workers on there. And it was set up, just to support families and stuff. And it was done on a voluntary basis. And one thing I personally always disagreed with was going to statutory organisation and begging them for money to run a service where your biggest resource is the community. Okay, so doing that, they got grants and funding. They won awards, NHS for innovation awards and stuff like that. And then when Labour lost the election in 2010, I remember just getting a message on my phone saying business closed down because all the money's been taken, stuff like that. And the saddest thing for me was that whereas the company organisation was so reliant on grant funding and everything else, it was the families and the young people who suffered because there was no money and no one else was there to fill the gap or pick up the pieces.
And they'd been conditioned.
Yeah, and they'd been petitioned that this meant it would meet them every Monday, blah, 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 here's my phone number, blah, blah, blah. When the money was taken away, the majority of the mentors were very much saying, well, I don't get paid, I'm not getting paid, I can't do it. Because they wasn't committed. If you do it like how Shaka did with your son and hugged him up on his finger, nephew, sorry, that is more proactive because you're doing it from a place of love, and support. So I remember, was it 2 years ago, I brought my nephew down and you just sat down and I remember Keith saying, Floyd, who's that? I said, oh, he just come down and wants to learn. And he was with me 2 weeks ago and he wanted to come again to the group. He said, Uncle, can I come to the group? I really like to be in that space. I've been in the space of men.
How old is he?
He's 13 now, 13, 14.
That's a big age.
And but being in the presence of black men, professional men, we're not arguing, we're not cussing, we're not using profanity, we're not bragging or boasting about what trainers we got or what girls we got, or we are doing something productive, and that's the image. Yeah, that's the powerful image that we just need to portray, because the young people will come to you and say, what is it you do? Yeah, there's always, you always have to be mindful that there is going to be a percentage of any race that's going to be lost. Yeah. And you have to acknowledge that you can't save and help everyone.
In casualties of war, there's going to be.
How do you address it? I mean, you have to use a whole approach. So if you can, you do parity groups. Like I remember I did strengthening families, strengthening communities. Triple parenting programs. Triple parenting. Therapeutic interventions, a systemic approach where you work with the whole family.
What happened to the nature of African tradition? But
you talk about money. You talk about money all the time.
What happened to that?
Specialized service.
No.
Natural.
Because everybody's talking about
no money.
You have one side of the argument saying that there's no money, we need money, and there's the other side that says, and I quote, it takes a village to raise a.
Exactly.
So
easy to say.
No, but we are that village. We are that village.
We need to be consistent.
Exactly.
But it's easy to say.
Brothers, thank you. Brothers,
you would like to get involved with it.
Yeah.
But your time, because you're working to make money. So if there was no money,
for me, more time.
But
okay.
Not so much money. If I didn't need to make money, then I would be able to not work.
I don't need money.
Okay. We've kind of run out of time, so let's just go round and just say something that is very short, no more than 30 seconds, that wraps up what we did tonight. We have to kind of give a funeral to the research that has come to an end. Yeah, we have to give it some kind of ritual send off. Yeah. But also, if there's anything that you want to say about sort of checking out and learning from today's discussion, what you hope, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Let's just go around and try to wrap that up. Shay, can you start off with that?
Yes, I need to revisit those notes that Robert and I made on Esther's visit because they've gone out to So I will do that.
Oh yeah. One voice so we can hear. For the camera, please.
Yeah, I think these things need to be present in our minds a lot more, at least in mine.
Okay.
There we go.
Clockwise.
That was me. I'm now rethinking my statement about being mindful. I have done a lot of voluntary work supporting mainly black and brown people for non-profit groups and charities. But yeah, I'm moved by some of the comments here. You know, I mean, I can feel the love that we have for black and brown people, and I think in this country, it's rare. I feel it's rare. One, because we're a minority, and two, because the media doesn't, know it. So to find a space to hear these kind of voices is moving to me. I feel that there's so much that can go into the play, and the play is like, it's being fed. I feel like it's being fed, it's being treated, it's being nurtured, and I can't wait to feel like interact it, see it being born. Do you know what I mean? And bring it to the world.
Thank you for that. I feel passionate about what I say, and I feel like my conversation always changes, conflict with other people. But in reality, I love this kind of space because this is where we're allowed to speak ourselves and be ourselves and speak our own personal truth, and I hope nobody takes it personal, which is the way I feel. Over to you, fuckface.
Save it for the play, guys.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I've really enjoyed this research period. I think I've learnt that I am interested in climate. Because when we first started talking about climate, I was like, really, Tony, climate? That's the best you could come up with. But over the sessions, I'm like, actually, yeah, I do have an opinion on climate, and I can feel passionate about that. And I'm now looking forward to actually doing some acting and doing some exercises and seeing what happens. What's on to you, sir?
I'm just going to get stuck into it. I'm similar like you. I thought, what the heck does climate change and black people have to do with anything? There's nothing in common. There's no relationship whatsoever. After the research, I'm like, damn, you know what? I want my money. You guys owe me money. You're killing my people. Yeah? Give me my money.
Repatriation.
Reparation. Give me my money. I personally, like I said, I've been for the last few years, I have been recycling religiously, but at the same time, I feel that it's been forced by the institution, and I've never looked back to see the purpose behind it, but I would rather that we had a choice to do it and not be told to do it, than the issue of choice. And again, it seems feeling like, again, maybe don't teach genetics, that from my ancestors before were not given a choice in slavery, they were forced into it. And maybe that's my experience. I'm being forced into recycling, so I feel like I'm back, in that cycle again of being told by the so-called powers what to do, how to do it, and you don't have a choice. Because if you don't do it, you'll feel your arms. So yeah.
I enjoyed the exercise. At first, I was like, the pace he was moving. I was like, what the hell is Tony God's doing now? But I went through the process and I enjoyed it. I just think it's going to get a tough show, I'll be honest. It's going to be a tough show because there's so much at stake in terms of how we're going to interpret this as a group of black men. I mean, the climate change is such a huge trending thing now, and it's always been kind of glorified and spoken by, I don't know, what's that cute white girl, Greta, whatever her name is. And it's a trendy, it's kind of trendy thing, and it's trending, and it's that middle class corporation kind of hammering it, and the government hammering it. But to have us, a group of black men, coming with a different point of view, and within that, research is triggering so many different issues. I'm kind of like, I can't wait to get into it, but I think it's going to be tough. And I'm gonna enjoy provoking it. I'm gonna enjoy stoking it. But I think,
Sorry, can somebody translate what tough means? Does it mean
tough. It's gonna be tough to get put on. It's gonna be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, bruv. Tough. Yeah, I think so. But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be challenging for you. That would be better interpretation. It's gonna be challenging.
Okay, one more.
Challenging, okay? Yeah, you don't come with your big fancy words. Yeah? I'm trying to keep it simple. Yeah? Like it grow like a black and then pop it like a pimple. Next to you, sir. Bread man.
keep it short? Bread man.
Bread man. We love the bread stick.
So I take it you was referring to. Excuse me. I take it you was referring to.
Come on, I want to go home.
The flipping door's there, sir.
You may leave.
For the third time, I take it you was referring to making a sponge cake.
Yeah.
Challenging,
Yes.
clearly.
Yes.
I am not going down that brainwashed road of the climate change.
Good.
You lot have been brainwashed, let me tell you something.
Tell him.
54 years on planet Earth,
Amen.
Is that the hollow or the flat?
and the climate change ain't stopped you from growing yet.
It has, Keith. It has stopped.
It hasn't.
It has stopped you from growing.
6 foot out of the way.
It hasn't. You just need to bet your bifocals.
Let him do his checkout.
Yes, it's my checkout, my space, my time, me. So, excuse me, put your hand down. So basically, it was really juicy tonight, and if I could say the word, spunky and creative, and I'd like to do it again. Yeah, this was the best kind of research we've done all for the last 4 weeks, I think. On that note, keep up, Fernando. I'll hand it over to my brethren on the right hand side, left hand side, Fernando.
I just think we have a.
Fernando, the one-word killer.
I just think we have a great group here. So
He's being nice tonight. He's tired. He's tired. He's being nice.
I'm never tired.
Lucky you got away with it.
Pinocchio, please. Skank.
You're right.
That's all.
Abner and Lady.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a good session.
Hey, someone, what's called behind the door?
Yeah, I got
Lady.
Lady.
Yeah, so it's been for me personally, it's been a journey. Started the research, not really understanding the impacts of environmental health, especially with the black community. So I have to admit that I was a bit ignorant, understanding the cause and effects and what I can do with regards to my own climate change. So when Tony first brought the subject and he said, like, what is it about climate change and what is it you want to get across? My initial thought was about my grandchildren and leaving them for their legacy where they can have clean air, they can go outside and play, they can visit their ancestral home knowing that it will still be there, whether that would be Jamaica or visit a certain part of Africa and say, yeah, this is where my grandparents and my ancestor came from. So I'm very conscious about that, and also conscious about my own ignorance to climate change, because I have to admit, I don't recycle. I don't. Yes, point your fingers at me. Me said me not do no recycling. Yeah.
Maybe you can say that at the start of the play.
Because there's no, where I live, there's no recycling facilities. There's it. Everything's in a black bag. You just chuck it in the bin downstairs.
Excuse.
So no.
It's true though. There's some boroughs.
Yeah.
Some boroughs like that.
Where is that?
Let him do his checkout.
Yeah. So that's why I've always been ignorant. So when I'm at my partner's house, she has to teach me about recycling. She goes, oh no, Lloyd, you can't put that there. Oh no, that needs to recycle. And I'm just thinking, okay, I just put it in one bag. And that.
Don't recycle them.
Yeah. So that's why I said it's been a journey for me, and I hope that from what I've learned, what we've learned, we've put on a great show that informs the public you know, inform those who's coming and also educate them, because that's what we're here to do effectively. Is to educate
Let them
them.
think.
Yeah, and ask some questions. Same question. Yeah, provoke. Same question that I had to ask myself and look into it. Some of the controversial subjects and subject matter that we have discussed. You know, let's get that out there. Let's put it out there. Let's, you know, challenge people's thinking processes and thoughts and put on one hell of a show.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so the research is a wrap. We've done that. We are starting on Monday with our practical rehearsals at the theatre, in the theatre space. I think, yeah, I'm excited as much as you guys. I don't know what this play will kind of end up being. I am going to do a little bit of research into some of the stories and characters and structures based on some of the work that Shabs has written. I'm going to try to come up with something and present that to you to see if you like it, throw it in the bin, you start over here, we start over there, or whatever. But so I'm gonna come up with some stuff that I assume is what you're all kind of interested in. I'm probably going to be wrong with my assumptions and my analysis, but it's just stuff that feels like we could put into the structure to make this show. But anyway, that's more for next week. But yeah, I also realised that next week we've got exactly a month to go before it's kick off. It's a bit scary, but I think if we do what we said we're going to do, try to sell the tickets, try to do the outreach, try to promote, try to just do social media, plug each other's interviews and videos and stuff and keep putting stuff out there, I think we can do it. You know, I think it's possible. So thank you all. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday for those of you who can do the street outreach. It's a wrap.
So who's in charge